I'm gonna tell you all about the Netherlands. Well, actually, I probably cannot cover everything in one video, but let's try and give a little bit of an insight in what the Netherlands is, or as I call it, the new Netherlands. Why the Netherlands? Because you told me to make a video about the Netherlands, and also a lot is going on there. Everybody always talks about Holland, and the previous logo was always Holland with a tulip. The Netherlands just got a new logo. What do you think of when you think of the Netherlands? You think about tulips, you think about cheese, you think about clogs, you think about the beautiful canals in Amsterdam, you think about a great social country that cares for its people, freedom, and it's just great overall, right? I have to disappoint you. The past years, I think it's been going downhill, and I'm gonna tell you why. You might have noticed on Twitter that I made a thread and I posted all these news articles that I want to cover with you one by one. But why did I start this thread? Well, I noticed that people in the Netherlands are not really aware of the real situation in their own country. Sometimes they were even attacking a country like the USA. For instance, with healthcare, that everything is so bad in the USA and in the Netherlands, it's pretty great. I have to tell them to wake up and open their eyes because the Netherlands used to be like that, but the past 10, 50 years, a lot has changed. I think it's just important that everybody knows the real story. The Dutch people are really nice and down to earth. The Netherlands is a country with a lot of technology, knowledge, innovation, and I love it. So what is the new situation of the Netherlands? Healthcare is not like it used to be. It's becoming more and more expensive for the people that have healthcare insurance, and you're forced to have healthcare insurance in the Netherlands, and their own deductible is going up every year. So a lot of people have issues paying it, and the quality of the services have gone down too. For instance, the nurses in the Netherlands are complaining of the workload, that it's so bad in hospitals and in care facilities. When they go home, they are already so happy when nobody died. The Netherlands has had a shortage of medication, of almost 1,000 different medications for many years, and they don't solve it. These are medications that people need every day to survive. My medication, when I went to visit the Netherlands, it wasn't available. So I called the distributor and the manufacturer, and they said the Netherlands just doesn't want to pay, even if it's €1 more. So we go to countries that want to pay the fair price. When I asked people in the Netherlands, like, how do you feel about that? That you go to a pharmacy and the medication that you desperately need is not available, and that sometimes you have to go to another pharmacy. Then when I actually bring it up, they're like, yeah, that's not really something that happens in a developed world, but it does happen in the Netherlands, even though it's more something you would expect in a third world country. In the Netherlands, the justice system is not really tough. I don't know if you remember in 2006, a politician named Pim Fortuyn was killed in the Netherlands. It was very likely that he was going to win the elections or do really well in the elections. And just a few days before the elections, he was killed. This man was sentenced, and he's been out of jail for years already and living a normal life. In America, that wouldn't happen. But in the Netherlands, it happens. And the same with an American student that went to the Netherlands to study. Her name is Sarah Papenheim. She was murdered. The guy who did it only got 6 years. Yes, afterwards he goes to a facility to care for his mental health, but only 6 years in jail. Her mom came to the Netherlands, and she was so distraught by the verdict that she said, it's worse than actually losing my daughter. To me, that says a lot. The problem in the Netherlands is that if, for instance, you put someone's face, who's someone that did something bad on internet, the judge will be like, yeah, that person was on internet. So we're going to lower the sentence because he already was punished by the public. So a lot of people that have bad intentions they're like, we can go ahead in the Netherlands because the punishments are so low. The Netherlands is a tax haven. For the Dutch people to hear that, it might sound crazy. But what I mean is, internationally, people think of the Netherlands as a tax haven. Companies, especially US companies, and you have to think of Uber, Netflix, Google, they all go to the Netherlands to evade taxes in the US or other countries where they have business. The Netherlands needs money, so they prefer to take a little bit and help them evade taxes so they can support their own social system. And we're talking millions and millions of dollars. I'm sure that internationally, the Netherlands will get more issues with this because it's been all over the news. I wonder if President Trump is aware of all the things that the Netherlands is doing. It's such a small country but it's the most populated with 477 people per square kilometer. With all the immigration that's been going on from people from other places in the world that have different mentality, different culture, you know that it's gonna bring some issues to the forefront. Housing crisis, people that have been on the waiting list for 6 to 10 years, they are pushed aside, and these immigrants that are so-called refugees get the houses. So the Dutch people are upset, which I understand. The Netherlands is a narco state, meaning drugs is apparently being manufactured in the Netherlands, going all over the world. There's a lot of crime, and the Dutch government doesn't seem to be able to deal with this. There was even recently a lawyer being killed just because he was representing a criminal. These are things that didn't happen before. Women don't feel safe. 44% of women feel unsafe at night in the Netherlands, and 3 out of 4 have experienced some kind of harassment. I was telling you also about the taxes, that the Netherlands is a tax haven, but it's not for the people that actually live there. They pay very high taxes. Everything is being taxed. Everything has become more expensive. Apparently, within the past 10 years, the living expenses of the people living in the Netherlands have gone up almost 50%. I always ask people, is there anything that became better these past 10 years? And they have to really think of what has become better. And they really cannot think of much. And that's what I mean with the Netherlands is going downhill. There's not much positive and there's a lot of negative. The biggest scandal of 2019 in the Netherlands was the one with the Dutch tax authorities. This still hasn't been solved, so I think the tax authorities will be in the news a lot in 2020. What they did over the past years in the Netherlands is horrible. These inspectors from the tax authorities, they had joy in going after innocent people that were allowed by law to get subsidies for childcare, and they suddenly heard after years that they had to pay everything back. And the reason they get subsidies is because they don't have enough income. So these people have gone through hell. People had to pay everything back right away. There was no discussion possible. They had to sell their houses. The kids couldn't go to this childcare facilities anymore. They had to quit their job. They divorced. One person even killed herself because I think it was a woman. Because these people made life so terrible. And we're talking hundreds or even thousands of people in the Netherlands that without warning, were targeted by Dutch tax authorities inspectors, saying they committed fraud and they had to pay everything back with all these fines. And now, because there have been a few really good politicians and journalists, these Dutch journalists and Dutch politicians have done a lot of work to get truth out. And it's very hard because when these parents that were targeted received the dossiers, everything was wiped out with a black marker. Their lives have been ruined for years. And I hope that the people that are responsible, these inspectors, are being held accountable, because you cannot just like some kind of Nazi go after people that didn't do anything, that are innocent, tell them they commit fraud and abuse power and force them into bankruptcy or divorce. Or imagine all these children with these parents that are so stressed because of this unfair treatment of the government that you should be able to trust. Well, I can tell you one thing, you cannot trust them. You cannot trust them. Even if you think everything is right, if there's one crazy person at the Dutch tax authorities, they can go after you and it will ruin your life. That's part of reality. I'm sharing with my followers all these news articles because I think it's very interesting. I really hope we get more good news from the Netherlands. But even these things that are not so good, I think it's important to share this with you. So I will continue to do that. So my advice to the government of the Netherlands is take better care of your own people. Do not discriminate. Do what's right. Be fair. Because the way you treat Dutch people compared to foreigners on every level is just not right. The European Union, the coming years with the climate change the expenses that are being forced onto the Netherlands, and the Dutch people are going to pay in the future. I know that the pensions are not safe, the taxes will go up, everything will be paid for by the Dutch people. That's just reality. If this continues the way it is and people in government do not stop this, the Netherlands will just become one part of Europe without its own identity, its own culture. I think the Netherlands should take a good look at itself and think, is this the direction that we want to go in or continue going in? Because a lot of what was good is disappearing, and I'm really upset about it. See you next time. Bye bye.